Welcome to the Ask Faleskini podcast with a guest. And back on the show today is Teré Foster. This will be the second podcast about the ARC7. We will discuss the vision of the ARC7 movement. And I would like to ask Teré to start describing the vision. What is the vision of the ARC7 movement?
Okay, well, ARC7 includes the buildings and the design of the buildings, because arcology comes from two words, ecology and architecture. So when you talk about those two together, it's all about the design and having low impact on the earth. But ARC7 differentiates from just the word arcology and ecology, adding one more component, and that is the human connection. And so it's not just a design about architecture, but it's also about what's going on inside that building, who's living there and why.
Okay, I would need to know, or I'm really curious about, would reading your book help architects, internal designers, investors understand more how to build accommodation that is more convenient or healthier for people to live in? Is that the next generation of architectural design? Could you explain a little bit about that? And I would also like to know, because you're also a coach, would you be ready to coach an architect or investor or even interior designer about the ARC7 and how they can benefit of this new knowledge that is available?
You want to ask that question again, just because the people pass by?
Okay, of course. So I would like to know, because you're talking about sustainable buildings and low negative impact on the environment and social connectivity, would the right people to benefit of your book be the architects and the property investors that are looking for something new, something that could take them out of the current real estate crisis, let's call it like this?
So I think that what you're asking is, what is the preparation kind of, or what's
what's the applicability of your concept? Because your book is let's say theoretical background for the change that needs to happen and for the social changes. What is the direct applicability to buildings and properties of your arcology and ARC7 movement?
So I didn't catch one of the words you said. Direct implicability?
Yeah, implication or direct application of your knowledge. What would this result? How would we come to the new buildings that you are describing in your book? What would it take? Does it take just one brave investor? Does it take one brave architect? Does it take, let's say, a mayor of a small community that would propose building a community according to ARC7? Who is the ultimate beneficiary of your concept? That is the question. And who can be decision making to make a change, let's say, in the short term?
Okay, all very good questions. So it's we need all of those people. We talked about a little bit about this last interview. We do need all types of people with all those skills, and we have 50 roles on the team. We fill the team with wonderful people who are willing to first learn the vision and then start to discuss it. And we learn the vision by, reading the book is the first overview, and then going through the certification, which is just going through the very detailed parts and components of the 7 dimensions that would be added to this arcology idea. So the arcology is about the buildings, and then ARC7 is about what happens inside the buildings. So when we start to talk about those things and who are the decision makers are who are involved. That's the whole idea behind a new type of living situation, is that everyone involved has decision-making power like a cooperative. And yet, at the same time, we have people coming in with very specific talents, gifts, expertise, experience. And so they're going to have more to say about their expertise than I would, for instance. So it's all about assigning roles so that they can have the ability to influence the design, influence the organization that's going on inside the design. These are people who will know how to do it, right? So I'm relying on their expertise, and everyone will rely on their expertise. For example, if it's a plumber or a solar designer or cutting edge green buildings, whatever it is, we're going to rely on them and their expertise to bring in that knowledge. So when you say decision making, I'm not going to try to make decisions about those things that they have expertise in, and no one else will either. So it's like having these roles will have domains, and there's a autonomous decision making within that domain, and then the also interdependence of having someone who knows how to do those things that I don't know how to do. So I'm dependent on them, interdependent, but yet they have that power to make decisions. Did that answer your question?
I'm trying to project your book into a business person's life. Let's say I'm someone who invests in property. How can I benefit of my new greenfield development of your book? Because you're talking about architecture. Where can I, as an investor, learn about architects? What should my architects that I hire know about ARC7 and Arcology ARC7 before they start designing my new, let's say, village that I'm building?
Yeah. So that's exactly right. They would need to know the details, and that's why I put it into courses with short lesson plans, and like any other course or certification. I made it very specific so that at each point they have the opportunity to say yay or nay on how they feel about that particular detail, and weigh in on it and possibly influence how it goes. So that's the good part about the certification, is that there's a way to fully understand it, but then also to influence it.
Okay, if they don't want to get involved and they would just like to get their project to be, can they hire a certified consultant from your team to help them develop their project in accordance to Arcology?
I see what you're saying. So I don't know why. I don't know what the motivation would be to get involved if they don't want to be involved. That's so. For example, if you're going to build an arcology, you could just go build one. So you don't need me, and you don't need to be involved with ARC7. So the idea is that if you're going to be involved with me, the whole point is that you would be involved in the concept of working together, planning, designing, co-owning, cooperating this structure, a new way of of organizing humans in a human system.
When you're talking about co-ownership, for example, right now, a property developer has a property that they want to develop, and someone needs to finance the building, and then, or the whole construction and everything. And then they can sell shares in this, and then it can become a cooperative. But someone needs to start and have a physical property that can achieve your goal. So their initiative would be if they can make money off it, and if you have enough members of ARC7 that would be interested in purchasing a share in community like that. That is the question. Is there initiative for property investors to start discovering ARC7 in order to add value to their existing business?
Okay, so is there initiative? So is there a reason why they would want to be involved?
Yes.
Financially. Is that your
Yes.
question? Can they make money?
Yes, that is the most important.
Okay, so now I'm coming at it from a different angle. And so the money-making aspect of it is off target for me, because we already know tons of ways to make money, right? There's lots of money. So this particular thing, I didn't have money in mind as I was designing or hearing coming, you know, with all these, there goes my earbud. I didn't have money in mind because I was so struck by what was happening to the people and how they felt about being there. And so money wasn't really a big part of it, except that the peace that came from the absence of money being part of the equation as they were making decisions. So let's say we know today that mostly we make all decisions based on money. Like, okay, what's the cheapest, what's the, you know, how can we cut corners? So that's not the process that I was seeing in this vision. It was more like, you know, what's going to be most effective? What's going to have the greatest impact? How will our children be impacted by this design? So it was all about impact instead of money and cost effectiveness. Although I'm sure, you know, that has to be involved, but that's not what motivated these people in this particular vision.
Okay, so you're keeping it a secret how to make money off ARC7. We'll see if someone contacts you, or myself, we'll see how this will progress. I do believe that the sound project is also a very lucrative project, and that there are a lot of unique, as I have read the book and as I understand archaeology, there are a lot of unique aspects of why you would decide to do it this way, because it's much more sustainable, so lower cost of energy. Growing your own food makes lower cost of living. It somehow occupies your free time, and all this is a completely different take on the life that we live right now. And how you make money is also different. Probably people will make money from working at home and contributing to society somehow.
Yeah,
okay.
I want to say one more thing about that idea, is that if you hired people to make a habitat at the zoo, for example, or even a huge, you know, sometimes they have these whole reserves, you know, that's just for the purpose of making certain species survive and thrive. I was just asking the question in this book, like, has anybody ever pulled together people, smart people, you know, spiritual people, caring people, people with children, people with, you know, who have an invested interest in human happiness, you know? Has anyone ever done that, where we pulled together people just for that purpose, like designing a reserve or a zoo habitat for humans to survive and thrive? So we kind of just keep building, build all over the world, and it keeps creeping bigger, and cities get, you know, have more and more stuff. But has there ever been an effort to just like think together, what would really make humans thrive and make
So,
them?
if I understand correctly, you are trying to imply that current cities are a huge chaos, that they don't care about human, they care about industry and consumption. And what archaeology is all about is to make communities around people. And the cities, if they get bigger, they get worse to live in because there's more traffic, there's higher pollution. Everything is worse for people when city starts growing. But what you're trying to do is to organize a sustainable community that will take care of all these concerns.
And if you can picture it, it could be right there next to the city, in the city, whatever, like building a mall. You know, it doesn't have to be somewhere else. It could just be right in a convenient place. But when you walk into that mall, you notice that it's something just said something in my, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, all of a sudden something talked in my ear with my new earbuds. So if you walk into a mall, there's instantly a different feel. You've got music playing, you've got air conditioning, and you can see that it has been mastermind or, you know, designed all as one. It's not like when you step outside the mall, there's that store and that drive-through and that, you know, and everything is separate. But when you walk into a mall, it's been designed by one group of people with one idea. So that's the difference between an arcology, ARC7 arcology, and what we have today. And so because it's built like a mall and it's contained under one roof, it can't grow, it can't creep, it can't really change. So you have the stability of that, just that in itself, just that this is the size it is and it's not going to change. And if we're going to grow, we're just going to build another. That makes sense?
Yep. So
ARC7, something like a mall with a resort with residential, so all in one.
okay. You mentioned a stone soup also in your second chapter. Could you elaborate how you would connect the stone soup with archaeology? What is the story behind the stone soup? Can you explain a bit about the stone soup story and then how you connect it to archaeology?
Yes, the story of stone soup is completely about the heart. It has nothing to do with architecture. So it's like what motivates what happens inside this architecture. So the stone soup story is that this traveler's coming through the village and this town is going through a drought or some terrible thing and they don't have any food. And this traveler comes through and asks for food and nobody has any. And they all run in their houses and shut the door because they don't have any soup. They don't have any food or anything to give him. So he is wise and he pulls out this pot and starts making the motions of making soup. And so one by one, these people came out and said, what are you making? And he said, I'm making stone soup. It's a magical soup. And so then they each, he says, do you have anything to add to the soup? And they said, well, I might have a little piece of onion or something like that. And so each one had a little piece of something that didn't make a meal itself, but when they put it all together in the pot, it made something that everyone was able to eat so that they lived another day. So the idea of stone soup is that we each have something to contribute. And if we come with that heart, it's like, just add, I just have what I have. I'll add that. And then that will make something good for everyone instead of just keeping that little thing to yourself. And then you've got basically nothing. So it's a concept of sharing and caring and service to others instead of service to self. Does that make sense?
Yes. So that connecting to arcology would be that everyone would contribute their resources and also their knowledge in order for community to thrive. Is that correct?
Yes. And so if you have this concept that it's just going to be good for everyone to give whatever you have. So if somebody has money, good. If somebody has a tractor, or somebody has a degree in civil engineering, but no money. So each person has something that is valuable, and to bring people in because of what they want to contribute. That makes sense to me, rather than every single person having to come up with some money that they don't have, but they have to go find it or borrow it or whatever. So that the whole idea is to have people able to come and bring what they do have instead of what they don't have. Because quite often everything is based around money, and that money person could fund the whole thing because they got lots of money and they don't know what to do with it all. But because our culture says everyone has to pay money, it makes it so that it doesn't really, it's not like stone soup at all. It's the opposite. Everybody's struggling alone instead of working together.
Okay, thank you. I would like to ask you about the sleeping giant of humanity that you mentioned in this same chapter that will wake up when all the people learn about the seventh dimension. Can you elaborate a bit about that?
So you know how the sleeping giant is supposed to be this something that has enormous potential, but is not living up to the potential because they're asleep. So there's two concepts in there. Who is the sleeping giant? And also, how do you wake them up? So in this case, I was saying that humanity as a whole is the sleeping giant. And with tremendous capacity and potential, but at this point they are sleeping because just kind of like that village where everybody was kind of just preparing to die, basically, because they don't have anything to eat. So they were in a mentality of just like, okay, it's over. Here we are, what do we do next? And they didn't have any ideas what to do next. So I think the ideas will wake up the sleeping giant. Just ideas that perk an interest and make them start to feel like, oh, you mean life on Earth could be good? It could be happy. It could be fruitful instead of meaningless and lonely and disconnected. I think just the ideas that there could be, or even just the one idea that, we could work together for the common good, could wake up the sleeping giant and get a lot of people to contribute if they were given an opportunity.
Okay, thank you for this explanation. Is anything you would like to add before we wrap up this second episode?
Maybe just helping people visualize the arcology. One very exciting thing that I saw, that as a young child, my father took me to see. In San Francisco, they have something called the Hyatt Regency, and it's just this giant thing, like a mall, but much more exciting because it was maybe 10 stories high, maybe bigger. And you come into this lobby and it's huge, like a mall, but you could see up above, you could see the levels of the hotel rooms and their balconies indoors. You could see, so it was like we were outside because you could see the outside of the hotel rooms and their balconies and lush green coming over the walls, as if you were outside, but it was indoors. And it always stuck with me, and it's the closest thing I've seen on Earth that matched the vision. The only difference really is that the design of what I saw was more curved instead of Hyatt Regency is very straight and angular and kind of triangle, but the one I saw was more curved lines. But still, it's the same thing with this lush green and pouring over the balconies, step in and seeing the whole thing from the inside. You can see everybody and all the people. I don't know if you can picture that. You'll have to go and see, look it up online and look at the Hyatt Regency San Francisco, and you'll see it's just spectacular.
Thank you, Teré, for all these wonderful insights and for being my guest tonight. And I'm looking forward for the fourth part of our 7-part sequel.
Thank you. It's been very exciting.